All right. And we made it. Let's exfil the backpack so we don't lose that. Don't lose the boat. So, I did not know at the time how prophetic of a statement that was going to be. I can only describe this straight line mission as a complete fiasco from start to finish. Most of it my fault. Most of it me just making really, I want to say dumb decisions, but at the time, some of them didn't seem dumb. They just seemed innocuous, I guess is the best word to describe it. And then later turned out to be really dumb decisions. And some of it was just completely mistakes, bad planning, not even bad planning, just mistakes of execution. So I guess I'll come back. I'm going to show you the footage. I guess I'll tell you. So the one really annoying mistake that I made, that's going to lead to this being shorter than usual, probably just be this one part, is that I left my case with my batteries at home. So about halfway into the mission, I realized I don't have any extra batteries. So I had to start just sort of randomly filming when I felt like something was interesting. And then a whole bunch of other things happened that I'll talk about afterwards. And yeah, fiasco from start to finish, complete failure. We'll talk about it more. I'll just let the footage run at this point and you can see what I'm talking about. All right, well, good morning. We are here on beautiful, beautiful Belle Isle in Detroit for, you guessed it, another straight line mission. And you can probably tell by a little giveaway there sticking out of my backpack that though today will be a somewhat short mission, it's also going to present some interesting challenges. So right now I'm walking my way to the start point. Sun's just coming up. So I will get back to you when we're at the start point, and I'll show you exactly where we are. All right, we are at the starting point, and instead of looking at my ugly mug, I'm going to give you a view of this beautiful view at the tip of Belle Isle. So right there on your right side is the beautiful city of Detroit, Michigan. You may be able to see there off in the distance. Here, I'll zoom it in for you actually. Off there in the distance, the bridge to Canada, and on your left, the city of Windsor, Canada. It's a beautiful but fairly chilly October morning here in Michigan, and as you can see, we're right here at the water. Here's the GPS with our line right there plotted out, and our direction of travel is that way, towards the rising sun. All right, I'll get my head mount on and be right back. All right, boys, it is straight line mission time. Here we are. We started out right down there by the edge of the water. I walked just right up here to this picnic table that was conveniently on my line. That line over there is obviously where I walked in, so we are very much still on the line at this point. And since this is a straight line mission, here we go. So, for those of you who have never been to Michigan, never been to Detroit, this is Belle Isle. This is an island that's in the Detroit River, obviously right between Canada and the United States. And it's a beautiful state park. I'm going to take you on a little straight line adventure through today. Obviously, there's people out here, so this could get interesting. People are the biggest enemy of a straight line mission because, you know, if some park ranger or something wants to tell me I can't go somewhere or something like that, well, that kind of ruins the mission. So, do our best to avoid that. And we're going to do our best to make this a platinum run. I was pretty disappointed with that silver going through Novi, but I mean, you guys saw how brutal that was as compared to what we're doing right now. Now I can tell you that this is not how it's going to be the whole time. There are definitely some obstacles. So this mission's a shorter one. It's only 2.5 miles, but I can tell you there are going to be some significant obstacles. One of which you might see coming up here. So the fountain and the pond straight in front of you, been here since the early 1900s. This park was actually originally designed by, his first name's going to escape me now, but last name is Olmsted. Same guy that designed Central Park and also did all of the landscaping on the grounds of the Biltmore Mansion. If you guys know where that is, it's in North Carolina. So, very famous landscape designer. Yeah, he was instrumental in creating this. So, here's our first big problem, boys. This pond is much wider than 50 meters. So, we're going to have to go straight through it. One more breath in it. All right. She's nice and tight. This is definitely the part that I am the most nervous for. I am not what you would call a super adept boatman, kayakist, whatever you want to call it. And as we all know, getting in is the biggest challenge. Okay, all right. We're sitting down really low, which I'm not in love with.
All right, we're in the boat, which was my biggest worry. Ooh. All right. It's tippy, that's for sure. We do have another water crossing later in this mission, but hopefully the entry point will be a little easier. It's very, very calm, flat water, which is what we need. Whew. All right. And we made it. Let's exfil the backpack so we don't lose that. Whew. Don't lose the boat. Still gonna need that. All right, let's go up on this. Well, that's not great. Well, apparently my glue was not compatible with this, so it's a good thing it stayed on as long as it did, I guess. That explains why it didn't really feel like we were tracking very straight. Well, that sucks, but these are the things we have to deal with. I guess I will be contacting Stakine Pack Rafts, which I did once already, to try to ask them what type of glue to use, but apparently barge contact cement, which I thought made the most sense because it's flexible, is not the right thing to use. And here's the nicest thing about this, is it deflates real fast. Happy with that. All right, up the hill. No, we're not going to boat through the fountain, as funny as that would be. Oh, this is annoying. Well, actually, maybe it won't be so bad. Thought I was gonna have to hop like 3 fences in a row, but I think I can just stay a little bit to the left, and I will only have to hop 1. GeoWizard always has a tendency to chuck his GPS over fences, which I always thought was, or rivers or other obstacles, which I always thought was kind of a bad idea, because, like, I don't know, if it goes into the water or you lose it or something, you're kind of screwed. But I've actually found that I have done that multiple times. Now in this case there's concrete on the other side, so definitely not going to do that. Oh, there's a gate here. If only it wasn't padlocked shut. What's the easier part to jump? That feels pretty solid. For a fat boy like me. See, I'm getting better at it. At least for short fences like that. I do have a little trick up my sleeve for taller fences in the future. May or may not need it on this mission. Okay, do not take that out of context. You know what? I'm not even gonna put that in here because I don't want anybody to clip that out of context. Anyway, if I were to do the last water obstacle like I did the first one, basically I'm gonna have to do this one sitting in the boat. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make that happen because kneeling, definitely not gonna work. It was getting sketched towards the end there. We're gonna stay as tight to the left side as we can so that the GPS doesn't lie. And we're gonna, as soon as we can, 90-degree our way over and get back on the line. Oh, on a separate note, I've been doing a lot of training, trying to prepare myself for missions like this. I've been running. My goal was to run every day. Obviously, that hasn't quite happened, but I've been at least every third day going for a 1.5 mile run. It doesn't sound like much, but when you haven't run in a long time, it feels like it. And last night, actually, I achieved my initial starting goal of jogging / running the whole 1.5 miles instead of having to stop and walk at various times, which was cool. It's definitely going to help with my cardio on these missions. And right here is this giant slide they opened up. I don't remember exactly when. I feel like it was I don't know, it could be a long time ago, but I want to say it was a few years ago. And I think they had to close it because it was like too steep and the bumps on it were like sending kids flying. So I don't know if it still gets used or not. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. several things there. Should have put my gloves on before I went over. And also, even without barbed wire, holy fuck, top of that fence fucked me up. I gotta start bringing a piece of carpet or something. Okay, I'm an idiot and I left my spare batteries at home, so filming is going to be much more sparse going on here, but I need to show you this. So you saw me hop that fence, which was a huge bear. It was awful. And then I was immediately confronted with that fence over there. It's basically same height. And I was like, God damn it. So I walked it just a little bit to my left. I'm about 50 feet off the line right now, and I found this. Right now we are in the old Belle Zoo. So these fences are animal enclosures, but this is like some sort of superhighway, I'm hoping. And it's close enough to my line, at least at the moment, that I should be able to not have to hop that fence. So I'll take you on a little bit of this. But like I said, I don't have much battery, so we're going to have to maybe keep it short. Alright, well, we bypassed that fence, so that was useful, and we're getting back towards the line now. This paddle sticking up out of my pack is not making this easy. Luckily, there appear to be gates. Thinking I should have stayed on the superhighway. Ooh, that's pretty sketchy. It's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. If you ever want to know what it's like to be in the animal enclosure at the zoo, probably can't see anything in here, but these are like animal cages. Really hoping to get up on these walkways, but I don't really see a good way to get up there, unfortunately, which I suppose makes sense considering you wouldn't really want animals to be able to get up to where the people are supposed to be at your zoo. All right, we need to begin braking to the right. Well, now presented with an interesting conundrum. I don't really see any way around it because I had thought I'd be able to get up to those. I didn't realize how high up those walkways were when I was looking at it on Google Earth. And man, I mean, I'm like right at the edge of the platinum zone right now, and I don't really want to chance it. All right. I'll come back when something interesting is happening because battery is seriously low. All right, just for you guys, I climbed my ass all the way up onto this walkway. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever done, but there's a cool shot from up here on the walkway. I don't want to go too far that way because I'll be offline. But yep, that's where we are. I'll take you for a little bit of this walk. My glasses are all fogged up again. And during the climb, literally at the very end, I'm telling you what, having this paddle sticking out of my pack has been the fucking bane of my existence. I knew it was going to be annoying, but wasn't ready for just how annoying. And right at the very end, as I got up here, the paddle, the top half of it, fell out of my pack all the way back to the ground. So I had to laboriously climb back down and get it, because we're gonna need it. This walkway is not exactly 100% sound. So we're gonna tread real carefully. On these intact portions. Well, this is concrete now, so that's nice. And it's right on the line. And this is what's so interesting about planning these things with Google Earth and whatnot. To me, these walkways were like going to be super useful, but they're turning out not to be. Now I'm having to backtrack because there's no good way down over there. All right, I'm gonna kill the camera and I'll let you know when I get down there.
Okay, and that's it. That's all the footage that I have, disappointingly. And there's a lot, actually, that happened after that point. All the really dumb stuff that I told you about pretty much happens after that point. But, yeah, so at this point, I'm just going to go through. We're going to look at the GPS line. This will be line analysis all combined in with it because it's the only way I can really make this make sense in this video. So I'm just going to start at it here, and when we get to the part where all the dumb stuff happens, I will let you know. So right here, I'll just zoom in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look over at this monitor. Awesome. So this is our starting point, obviously. Red line is us. So this line here is where I walked in, obviously, and this is the actual straight line start. So as you can see, everything goes fine. This is where we stopped, got in the boat. We crossed this big pond here, went past the fountain. Everything's going swimmingly. This was our first little deviation onto that bridge. Not a big deal. These two outer lines here, those are the platinum zone lines. So again, this is the easy part, right? We're just kind of walking through these big open areas, no problem. There's the giant slide I talked about, the kids area. All right, so here's where we get to the edge of the zoo. So this is where you could see me sort of walking back and forth, trying to figure out how I was going to get around this fence. And so I eventually just went down the side here. And again, the GPS it's accurate, but it's not like 100%. So it kind of shows that I'm in here. But as you can see in the video, I'm actually out here on this sidewalk here. So then we came down here. And again, I was never in here. I was out here on the road, which is actually where the line is. So that's fine. And then, so right here is where we went over the fence. So here's where I'm in the corner. That's what all of this GPS stuff is. So this is me getting over the fence. And this is where I realized that I don't have extra batteries. And I was really annoyed about this because I planned everything out. I packed everything the night before and I threw the batteries on the charger because a couple of them weren't full. And it was like the one thing that I forgot. Like I remembered to bring extra shoes this time for when the mission was over, just in case my shoes got wet. I remembered everything except for the freaking batteries. So yeah, it was super annoying. But so this is where I started coming in and out. So here, make sure you can see that. Yep, there we go. Here's where I found sort of the super highway area. And I'm actually not as close to this line as I thought I was. So that's good. I stayed pretty well within. And then I start walking down there. Again, this is going through. So again, and I think because I was underneath this walkway, the GPS, probably the signal wasn't as strong. So it shows that I'm way out here. I was actually going right underneath this walkway. So I basically traveled all the way through here. And again, yeah, I'm underneath the walkway again here, traveling through the zoo like you saw. And then this is where stuff gets really crazy looking. So right here was where I sort of had that choice where I could either go through that fence and into this water, which I considered doing. But actually at this point, I'm kind of glad that I didn't. As difficult as it was to do this, I'm actually very glad that I made the decision I made when I look at it on the overhead now. Because walking through this water would have made all of this very annoying. And yeah, anyway. So yeah, I basically, this whole mess here is me. So what happened here is there was a fence right about here that I couldn't really get over. It was all overgrown and stuff, but there was a gate that was like down and leaning. And I was able to use that piece of down leaning gate to walk up it and get up on the platform up here, which is where you see in the video I finally get up here. And it was difficult. It was not easy. Climbing up there was hard, especially when I dropped the paddle and I had to go back down. That was awful. And so then I came back up. So that's what all this garbage is. And then I walked directly down this path. So obviously I wasn't out here and whatnot. And then I get back here, I'm back on. And again, this is looking all very strange because I basically walked down the path, got to here, realized that the walkways continued off this way and that wasn't going to be helpful. And that I was way up in the air, so there was no good way to get down. So I came back, and actually if you watch the video, you can see as I'm walking down this part, there's this where was it? It must have been right around here somewhere, but I think it was actually over here on this side. Actually, it might have been like right here. There's like this hole in the walkway, and somebody spray painted like "go down," and I remember thinking to myself like, I don't think I want to do that. And then as I came back, I looked at it again and I realized, oh, there's actually a ladder there. Like there was actually like a steel ladder that led down, so it actually ended up working out perfectly. One of the few things that went right on this mission, and I climbed down there and ended up coming back this way underneath the walkway, which is this line. And then right here, there was another, it was right around here somewhere. Yeah, it must be like right here. There's another fence that I had to climb over. And then once I was over that, that's where you can sort of see all of this nonsense. So you're asking yourself, why does it look like I went over this 3 separate times? The answer is I went over it 3 separate times. Why did I go over it 3 separate times? I made a really, really, really dumb decision. At the time, it didn't seem like a dumb decision. And sometimes that's how things like that happen. So I am not 100% sure when it happened, but this was like my stopping point, this fence. I knew that it happened at some point after this. So at some point I was walking through so this was like some pretty dense woods, like think like 1-inch diameter trees, 1 or 2 inch diameter trees, but like thousands of them all clumped together and stuff. And it was pretty brutal. So the paddle that was sticking out of my pack that I was complaining about at other points during the mission was becoming a real problem. It kept catching on things. So I finally stopped and I said, okay, I need to like flip this thing over so it doesn't catch as much. So, but the pocket that the paddle was in wasn't wide enough to do that. So basically I flipped the paddle over, put it in the main pocket of the pack and zipped it back up. And here's where I made my fatal mistake. My fatal mistake was when I zipped it back up, I didn't think about the fact that this pack that I was using has like a double zipper and it's designed to like open fully. It's like a square pack that unzips and like completely opens. Well, going forward, when the paddle would catch on things, it kept pushing the zippers and the zippers kept coming open a little bit more and a little bit more. And I, unfortunately, didn't notice that because I was focused on the GPS. I was focused on getting through all these obstacles and stuff. And so what happens is I get all the way, I make it through all of this, I cross this road, and again, I don't really know when exactly it happened, but I get across this road, I get all the way down here, all the way through all of this crap, all the way to this marsh. This is the Belle Nature Center right here. I get into this area. There's like a whole group of school kids that are on like a field trip or whatever coming through here. I kind of had to hide in the weeds and stuff. They go down this path off this way, and I come up here. I hop up on this wooden platform right here, and it's at this moment that the sun is now coming out, and I can see my shadow. And I realize that my shadow looks weird, and so I turn around, I look, and I take my pack off, and I realize my pack is wide open. My jacket was hanging out of it, basically, which is why my shadow looked weird. The paddle is gone, and my boat is gone. It's honestly just a sheer miracle I have any of this footage because my camera was also in the bag at this point. And luckily, that was still there, tucked in the bottom of the bag. I'm honestly astounded that any of my stuff was still in there. You know, all of my extra camera accessories and stuff were in a bag and stuff in there. I'm just very thankful that all that stuff was still in there. So at that point, I said a lot of curse words, and then I just kind of stood there for a minute trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I'll just take you through what the rest of this looks like and how close I was to the end. All I really had to do was, I think there's a fence here. I had to hop this fence and this fence, which are short, like 4-foot fences. And there's another fence right here, 3 little short 4-foot fences. And then this was our final water challenge, a little beach, and then this lagoon that I was going to paddle across, which again, it's not small, but it's very doable. I would have had to get out here, drag it across, bop it a boopy, and I would have been right here, done with the mission. I literally had 30 minutes, 45 minutes left to go. I literally had 35, 40 minutes left to go, and I would have been done. And then I would have been on my way back. Instead, what I did was I realized my only option at this point, if I want to complete this mission, is to go back and try to find my boat and my paddle. So that's what I did. I followed my own GPS track. I tried to follow my footsteps exactly. I followed it all the way back. And again, you can see like they're not on top of each other, and again, these are farther apart than they probably were in real life, but I tried my best to stay on top of my own track. And, again, by this time, I'm not really worried about staying in the platinum zone. I was here, but like here, I'm like, whatever, I'm just trying to find this boat. I'm just trying to find this paddle. So I follow my GPS track, and I don't think I have it marked on here, but I believe it was after the road. I believe somewhere in here, I ended up finding the paddle. I find the top half of the paddle. And so I searched that whole area around. I can't find the boat still. And I don't know when things fell out. So I end up backtracking all the way back to that fence where the zoo ended. Because I knew for a fact, because I had taken my pack off after I got over the fence and stuff. And I knew for a fact that I had the boat and the paddle and everything right here. So I knew it was after this point. So when I got all the way back there and I still hadn't found it, I said, okay, well, I have to make the decision now. Either I'm done and I should just walk out to the road or something, or I'm going to traipse my way all the way back and try to see if I can find it and keep going. And I'm not a quitter. I'm definitely not a quitter. And let me tell you, backtracking all this way was awful. This is all thick brush, swampy, not swampy like it was on the Novi mission, but just super thick. It's not easy to get through, is my point. So getting all the way back here was awful. And so I tracked my way all the way back. I had left a waypoint where I had found the paddle. So I tracked through that point again. Again, tried to follow my steps as closely as I could. I tracked it all the way to this point. And at this point, I was fairly confident that I wasn't going to find it. It took me, I don't know, 2 hours plus, something like that, to get through all this. And I was beat. I was dejected. I couldn't believe how stupid I was that I lost it. And I mean, I could have made one tiny change, which I did once I found the paddle. I put the paddle in my pack the exact same way the second time. All I did was I took one of the outside straps and I wrapped it around the paddle and then clipped it. And that prevents it from doing exactly what it did. And I just feel like an idiot. It's hands down one of the most disappointing things that's ever happened to me. And I just don't really know what to say other than that. So at this point, yeah, I got on this little trail. I walked my way to this little playground, sort of took my pack off, drank some water, commiserated. And then, yeah, I hopped on this lakeside drive. And this is the worst part. I didn't even get to complete the mission. I lost a $400 pack raft. And now I have to walk the 2-ish miles all the way back to my truck, which is parked all the way up here. So yeah, that's the end of this mission. Am I going to do it again, you're asking? Yeah, I'm going to do it again. But I have to get another pack raft, which sucks. Yeah, this one was gutting, I gotta say. I don't know. I can't really say anything else about it. We did so well. I did so well for most of it. We were gonna have a platinum run. We were in the platinum zone to this point. you know, unless somehow a huge wind came up and we got pushed out or something on here, but it wasn't very windy. We were going to have a platinum run. We were going to have a platinum run on Belle Isle. And yeah, it's just things happen, I guess. But anyway, well, that's where I'll leave you. Join me again soon for another video, hopefully. Stealth camp, straight line. I don't know what it'll be. Maybe a little bit until the next video. I have some things coming up that I got to do. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, just like always. And I'll be back with more videos sometime soon. Take it easy, guys.